Even with the Democrats in control of Congress, we recognize that Congress is not functioning the way it should, regardless of who's there. That's why I'm saying this ain't a Republican problem, ladies and gentlemen. This is an American problem. This is a systemic failure of this nation to govern itself in accordance with the values, the ideals, and the intent of the Founding Fathers put forward in the Constitution. So where do we go? That's why I speak of waging peace. I don't want you to wage war. I want you to wage peace, but by God, wage peace with all of the ferocity that a Marine brings to the battlefield. I want you anti-war warriors to get out there, engage in the cause of peace and justice with the ferocity and with the knowledge and the abilities and the tools to achieve victory. But to do so, you're going to have to change the way you do business. You're going to have to accept hierarchical structures. Somebody's going to have to be in charge. That's why I say maybe you go away from participatory democracy and you get into citizen participation. You know, there was a time, again, I'm not that old. I'm getting older by the day. Every time I go to colleges, I'm reminded of it. I used to be able to say, remember back in the Gulf War of '91, and people go, yeah, that's 5 years ago, we remember that. Now I go, remember back in '91, the first Gulf War? And the students are going, sir, we were 3 years old back then. Damn, I'm getting old. But, you know, my grandparents, my grandfather on my mother's side was a railroad worker, and he talked about the, the unionization process, the fight for labor. Saul Alinsky might be a name that some of the people in this room remember and know. Saul Alinsky was one of the great organizers of the American labor movement. Saul Alinsky didn't believe in, the democratic representation. Saul Alinsky believed in democracy, but he called it citizen participation. He said basically you needed a concept, a value, an ideal that everybody bought into, everybody agreed upon, and then they structured themselves to most efficiently get the job done. And you do that by having somebody in charge and somebody below. Now, that somebody in charge doesn't have to be somebody who dictates a solution. No, the solution's already been agreed upon. The somebody in charge is just managing the solution in accordance with the will of the citizens who are participating. The strength comes not from the top where they dictate, but from the entire collective who believe, who have invested, who are citizens of this great objective. I'm asking you to do that not only for the anti-war movement, for the entire country. Citizen participation isn't something that should be just left to the labor movement or the anti-war movement. It should be for the entire country, how we operate today. We don't elect dictators. We elect presidents who represent us in accordance with the rule of law set forth by the Constitution, our Constitution. The Constitution must become the core value, the center of gravity of the anti-war movement, of the progressive movement. Because if you take that fight on, you make it your core value, there's nothing more American than that. At the end of the day, the battle for America's heart and soul is a battle of numbers. Keep that in mind. You will not prevail without middle America. You will not prevail without some conservative Americans coming to your side. It's a numbers game. If you continue to minimize your impact by defining yourself in such limiting factors that only a handful of people can truly belong to your movement, if you continue to operate with such gross inefficiencies that nobody wants to join a football team that gets its butt kicked 60-0 every game. All right? Nobody wants to join that team. Start winning games. Start winning championships. You get that ring. 2 rings, 3, 4, 1 for the thumb. Come on, become the championship political football team. You can do it, but you do it by defining yourself in a way that isn't just satisfying to your membership, but is acceptable to the rest of the United States. Because this game will not be won by the left wing alone. This game will be won when the left wing takes the lead and brings the rest of the country on board. But you've got to define yourself in a way that's acceptable. And that's the heart of the art of war, is your center of gravity. Then seek to empower yourself with knowledge and information, not only about yourselves, but about your enemy. That's called intelligence. How can you fight that which you don't know? And we can't dumb them down. They're kicking our ass, so they can't be that stupid. All right? They're winning. Maybe we're the dumb ones. We can make fun of Fox News all we want, but we might want to take a look at how Fox News does business. Not because we want to emulate their message, but we might want to emulate some of the tactics they bring to bear, some of the methodologies they use to sell their program to a large number of people, because they're having success where the progressive movement is not. Again, don't become Fox, become better than Fox. But understand, Fox has a model that achieves a limited form of victory. We might want to take a look at that. Not only in terms of how we can perhaps make our operations more efficient, but maybe also how we can tear their operations down. Because this is a war, ladies and gentlemen. This is about not just selling yourselves effectively. This is about defeating your enemy. And that's where I'm going to leave you with this thought. I don't want you to bayonet people, but I want you to destroy them. I want you to wade into them. I want you to be General Patton taking down the Nazi hordes. I want you to wage peace as ferociously as Marines waged war. I want you to win. You do it with honor, you do it with integrity, but we're past the point of being polite. This is the future of our country we're talking about. This is not a simple game of ego. This is a game of survival. And as America goes, the rest of the world goes. We have to find a way not only to solve the ails of this great country we call the United States of America, but in doing so, resurrect America as a leader of the global community, a leader of a community of nations where we might be supreme in our capabilities, but we are equal in our participation. The day of the ultimate expression of human or of national hubris, where 300 million people get to dictate the terms of coexistence with 6.8 billion others, is over. It's time for us to start living together in peace and harmony, not only with ourselves, but with the rest of the world. But this isn't going to happen again by us singing poetry, growing flowers, smelling perfume, banging drums, demonstrating. It's going to happen by going to war. I'll leave you with this thought, and it's sort of the ultimate expression of the failure of the anti-war movement. Cindy Sheehan resigned last week. She quit. Now, Cindy Sheehan and I have not gotten along across the board. Some things we agree on, some things we don't. That's okay. I respect Cindy Sheehan for what she did. What Cindy Sheehan did at Crawford, Texas, was one of the most courageous acts the anti-war movement has seen in a long, long time. And it had the potential of doing good things for the anti-war movement, but the anti-war movement couldn't rally around this cause. They didn't even anticipate it. It just sort of happened. They had no program to come in and exploit this. This is like blasting a hole through the enemy's line and not being able to send a division through to capture their logistics area. This is like in a football team, the guard and the tackle blowing a hole through, but there's no running back with the ball to exploit it. Cindy Sheehan blasted a hole through the pro-war movement, and the anti-war movement stumbled. And then they did the worst thing than that. They treated Cindy Sheehan not as an asset, but a resource to be exploited. She became a pack mule for the peace movement. And you piled pound after pound after pound, task after task after task on her back. And the warrior that she is, and I know she'd reject that term, but Cindy Sheehan was a warrior for peace. The warrior that she was and is refused to back down. She did everything she was asked to do until her back broke. And now she's been left abandoned. She's bankrupt fiscally. She's exhausted. She's morally broke, psychologically broke. And the anti-war movement's not stepping in to help this lady. You think Paul Wolfowitz is going to be abandoned by the right wing for his double-headed failure of Deputy Secretary of Defense in the World Bank? Not on your life. He will never want. Now, people can tell me that the left doesn't have any money. Bullshit. Excuse my language. I'm in the city right now where the left has more damn money than it knows what to do with. The privileged left, the Hollywood left, all these entertainment left. And yet, they can't see fit to write a simple frickin' $80,000 check to give Cindy Sheehan a 1-year sabbatical where she can recharge her batteries and maybe take that time together with the assistance of graduate students to write a paper on the Crawford experience so that you might have a model of success that can be replicated over and over and over again? Somebody in this room, please find a way to get that money to Cindy Sheehan so those lessons can be captured, so the peace movement does have a battle plan, because that's what you need, a battle plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a long struggle ahead. This is not a struggle that's to be won overnight. We're not going to win it tomorrow, next week, a month from now. You're not going to win the 2008 election. This is a long, long struggle because it requires the repudiation of much of what our country has become. But we're not going to win unless we all get on board as active citizens and we have a plan to achieve victory. That's why I wrote the book, Waging Peace, The Art of War Through Anti-War. I hope if you do get it, you read it, and you find it of use. Thank you very much, and I'll take any questions anybody has from the audience.